You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Oh, you didn't know? Yes, it is.
Welcome everybody to the Hot Tag. Brought to you by the Official Wrestling Museum. We are your hosts. I am Angel, and this is the Official Wrestling Museum's Hall of Famer,
No life.
and we are here this week doing what we do best, answering your questions, as you guys are the best out there, sending those questions in to us.
Yeah, I love it. That's my favorite show.
Yeah, this is, you know what, it's cool because we don't know what these questions are.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like on the whim and trying to think on the spot. And last week we actually had to put one back in because we knew the show was wrapping up and it was such a great question. So hopefully we can pull it out this week and it's earlier or whatever week we do.
I forget what it was, or else
I do too, right?
Or else I
We'll
would
just be
start
like,
off
yeah, here
with
we
it,
go.
but Yeah, I don't remember.
Too many hits to the head.
Yeah.
All right. So WrestleMania just happened a couple weeks ago. We're going to do a recap on Off the Ropes this week. So make sure you guys tune in for that. The Four Corners. That's going to be one that I'm really looking forward to. Things that irk us about professional wrestling. I'm honestly surprised that they're allowing us to do a show like this soon, especially in the series. And then Figures Are Us, we're kicking it with Cody Rhodes Figures this week, and talking a lot about, you know, the character building and what you can see over the years and how it progressed for him and worth and all that good stuff. So make sure you guys tune in. And Figures Are free preview is still going. Part 1 with us and Sergeant Stryker. And we kick it old school style. We're leaning up, and we're actually in the studios this week filming part 2 that's going to be out in the next couple of weeks.
He'll be back. He'll be back. I think he's getting back from Philadelphia tomorrow.
Yeah, he stayed, and he's doing extra promoting out there. And, you know, the momentum right now of this museum is really growing, especially with the Hall of Fame. And we're very blessed by all the opportunities we're having that we're able to get out into the communities. And it's just not here in the Rhode Island area. We're really starting to branch out more and more. And again, if you guys know of any type of charitable community events, reach out to the museum. We're always willing to help out, give back. We don't look for anything in return. As long as it's available, we'll be there. And if you guys can take the time, National Pro Wrestling Day is something that we're trying to make official. Yes, we did it in Rhode Island. June 13th every year is a professional wrestling day. It's signed, sealed, it's been delivered to the State House, and it's happening. And we want to make it national. So there is a QR code. We're going to try to leave it on here for a while if you want to scan it. And it's just one of those challenge.orgs, a free petition if you guys can help us out with that. It doesn't cost anything. And it's just the more momentum, the more backing we have for it when we go to other politicians or other measures that we have to do to try to make it on the national level. You guys are helping give back and saying thank you to everybody that graced the ring.
Yeah, why not have Pro Wrestling Day? I mean, there's a day for everything. Donuts, tacos.
There really is.
Yeah, secretaries. I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but
Yeah.
there's a day for everything. Bosses. We all know bosses don't deserve it, but why not have a Pro Wrestling Day? It would be cool.
And speaking about being out into the community, we're doing something really, really special on April 28th out in Boston, Massachusetts at Fenway Park. No, we're not playing baseball, folks, because, you know, I can swing and hit, but, you know, it might take a couple of swings. But we got something very special. We're going to be there. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, man?
Yeah, so we will be honoring my late fiance, doing the epilepsy walk. I just did my first one last year, even though I've been tied with the organization since she passed in 2020. And it's a pretty special moment. I'm looking forward to it. Last year was amazing, and they do one in Rhode Island. I don't know much about that one yet. I might do that again, or do that for the first time. But this one, it's going to be at Fenway. Last year it was at Suffolk Downs. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Seeing the great people at that organization. It's such friendly people. So.
And this is a really good cause, and I do know that the museum is going to be looking into the Rhode Island, so hopefully we'll be able to be a part of that. And if you guys want more information, go right to our website, the main page, boom, right there, all the information's there. And you can even be on our team if you like.
The Z team.
Yep, the one and only.
Yep.
All right, so why don't we get into your questions, because I know you guys are, oh my God, are you going to read our question today? And I'm hoping we do.
All right, let's see.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, we got 2.
Uh-oh, you see, he's so happy, he wants to give me them all.
Oh, I got 3.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh, and these are typed?
It's the
Okay.
surprise for you. Some are.
What was the best match of WrestleMania 40? So we are going to dive more. I mean, we'll just do a real quick one, I
Yeah.
think. We will dive more into that on, Off the Ropes?
Off the Ropes,
When
yeah.
we go over our reviews. I really liked AJ and LA Knight. I liked the build, and I mean, it was a match that didn't have titles or things at stake, but I really liked that one. I mean, there was a couple. Again, I want to keep it basic. I'm
Yeah,
just going to
yeah.
say that. That's my answer.
So-
AJ and LA Knight.
I think you definitely have to pick off night 2 over night 1. It's a more solid program. I would probably agree with yours. However, I love the story and the match type that Cody and Roman had. That was like so different from the night before. It was like night before it didn't happen, and they just did what they were supposed to do for their story. So I'm going to go with that match. I really am. All right. Should there be a union for professional wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's never going to happen. It'll never happen. I mean, it's supposedly been tried once or twice. Yeah, I mean, these guys are labeled as independent contractors, but they can't go to other companies.
Yeah.
They can get released, and then they have the 90-day no-compete clause. So now for 90 days, they're most likely not working anywhere significant. So, yeah, I mean, I think that they should. But
Yeah.
then again, guys on top, like, say, back in the day, why would Hogan want a union? He's making top dollar, whereas the guy
Exactly.
below is not. So, I mean, you can see, yes, should there be for certain things, like
That's what I was going
you'd
to say.
you'd have to work it in a way that, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a union as a whole for wrestling would be actually hurtful for wrestling. I think a union as for certain parts for like health insurance
Yeah.
and coverage like that and different measures in that area, yeah, I think there should be something in play.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, your turn, yeah.
all right.
I flipped the papers around.
All right, I got another typed one here. It's easy to
He's
read.
shooting for those.
Let's see. What's your thoughts on ECW? So I remember the first time I ever saw ECW. I was flipping through the channels, Univision, and I came across New Jack, and he was doing a diving chair off the top, and I was just like, oh my God. And then I just, like, from that moment on, I was hooked. I think at the time, it really fit, it fit its place, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a niche product, as they say. It really was, because when they started to go mainstream, it was a lot harder to get over mainstream, that style. There's been so many companies that have tried to copy it. Even to this day, AEW really tries. It definitely had its place. I mean, it
Yeah.
didn't go out of business because it lost its fans.
No.
It went out of business because of bad management, and it still had a strong fan base. So
Right, and you got to think too. ECW is still very much alive
Yeah.
today. Fans are really
Just
still
look at this
behind
past
it.
weekend.
Yeah, I think ECW was really something good. When it gets into like hardcore or these death matches, like I don't believe that's wrestling.
Yeah.
I think it's another area. It's kind of like a branching off UFC, MMA. That's how I look. But I think ECW really delivered. They had guys that knew how to work. And I
it
think it was
wasn't-
something
yeah.
good.
It
And you know what? Primal Conflict was literally off of ECW.
Right.
We mimic and worked in the same arena.
we use a lot of the same A lot, yeah. We use the same arenas that they would use here.
And when you're
we had a
talking
lot
about-
of ECW talent.
Yep.
Primal Conflict was a really, at the time was, I mean,
It was huge. It was very well over.
Yeah.
And if it didn't end with the fire incident, I definitely think it still would have been around for a few years after. It had the momentum.
do you think if ECW stuck around, do you think they would? Because I know like the light tubes and the mouse traps and
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff came in a little bit later. Do you think that they would start using that stuff too? They would have incorporated that stuff.
I think probably the light tubing, probably the mouse traps, maybe like a match.
Well, because they
you know what I
already,
mean?
like, New
But-
Jack was already doing the stapler.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and then we all know in Primal Conflict, New Jack was doing the glass bottles and so the Wolverine claws.
Yeah.
So he was going that
The
way.
repetition of New Jack is true.
But ECW also wasn't just hardcore. I mean, they had different. It was like a three-ring circus. They had different things. They had like the Dean Malenkos and the Eddie Guerreros,
Yep.
the Rey Mysterios, the
Chris
Psychosis.
Candido.
Yeah, Candido, Shane Douglas. They
Yep.
had Taz. They had guys that would wrestle. They did have Balls, Axel, New Jack. They had that sort of guy, and then they did have Bam Bam, Mike Awesome, and they did have the rare.
They
big
really
guy.
had an all-around
Yeah.
great roster and a great product. I think the problem back then was networks were just too afraid
Yeah.
to promote it because they didn't know what was coming because there was nothing like that ever.
Yeah, how could
You
you-
know what I mean?
yeah, how
So I
could
think
you-
they just
yeah.
they wanted to play it safe. Where if they didn't play it safe, I really think it would have been a big money-making business all around for everybody. I at some point would have still, I think, died out like
Right.
it did, as whatever meaning it would be. It still have been bought out and all that stuff. But I definitely think it would have had more successful of a run. Let's see. Who can make up a new DX right now in WWE?
Well, are we going with 4 guys or?
I don't know. They didn't put that in the question. And do we add a female?
Who would be a current DX?
You know, in all honesty, if you really look at it, Judgment Day is pretty much
I was gonna
a
say,
DX.
in a way.
You know what I mean? They're just not that flamboyant. They're more
Yeah.
the quiet drawback.
Trying to go over my head, like, okay, who would be good? I don't know. That's a tough one to think of because I mean, it's such a different day and age too.
Yeah.
And like the stuff Drew McIntyre has been doing lately, but I don't know if that's necessarily like even when DX came back and it was just Shawn and Hunter, they were very tame compared to what they originally were.
Yeah.
You know.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see something like a DX come out, especially once Netflix gets their deal going and stuff.
If you,
know
had
what
to
I mean?
pick one female, so it's a hard answer. If you had to pick one female that's on the roster,
I think the smart move would be Rhea Ripley. She fits the role. She looks the role. She can mimic the role. She has the abilities. But I think, what about Rochelle
who?
Rodriguez?
Oh, Raquel Rodriguez.
What did I say,
You said
Rochelle?
Rochelle.
Oh, but she's
I
never
don't
on
know.
TV.
Maybe Liv Morgan. Maybe Liv Morgan could be that. I don't know.
Did you, the night after Raw, did you see the chair shot
Yeah.
to Rhea? Man, that was vicious. I was like, ooh, I'm surprised she didn't get busted open.
That's a tough one because it's
Yeah.
just it's so you have to sit here and think about today's day and age. What would be able to be allowed on TV compared to the older days?
But this is cool because you guys, we say sometimes in like interviews that we do, or if we're at shows and the young talent comes up and talks, we're constantly always talking, no matter where we are. Sergeant Stryker, we were talking to him. He called us when we were in the green room, and we were talking to him. You know what I mean? And we're always, and these type of questions will be a question that we'll just bring up, like, hey, remember this question? Who you think? And it will just keep our minds going. So we love questions like this.
I guess a short way to get out of the question was just for an answer. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano because
Yeah.
they're doing the
Yep.
semi rip off there. So
And you know what, though? What if you change DX into more of a comedy angle and have R-Truth run it? With Miz.
all right, here we go. Here's a good one. Thoughts on tugboat?
Oh, tugboat.
So we just going tugboat, or are we doing everything?
Again, I don't know. All
right.
That's what the question
So
was.
Tugboat,
I don't know.
Tugboat was a horrible character. I thought when he turned into Typhoon, like that was awesome. Him and Earthquake, same body.
Yeah.
Those two fat guys, but they dominated the tag team division. Hey,
Yeah,
I can say that.
I agree. I think he did good for what he was dealt with as Tugboat. What could you really
Right.
do with that
The
gimmick?
thing was, he was another one that was Hogan's friend. But did you know that originally, before it was Hogan and Slaughter at WrestleMania, 7?
Yep.
It was supposed to be Hogan versus Tugboat, and they were going to have Tugboat turn on Hogan, and then he was going to become like an Iraqi sympathizer. I don't know how that was going to work, and it was going to be Hogan versus Tugboat instead of Hogan and Slaughter. Then they went with Slaughter, but Tugboat not so good. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone remembers him though, like
Right.
but Typhoon was really good.
Yeah.
But I think what he'll always be known as is the Shockmaster, and that's only because
you know-
he did the trip and fall. You know?
Yeah, and he was, a lot of people get on him. We'll have your back, okay? First, his mask was styrofoam, had no eye holes. He could not see.
It was the Star Wars.
Yeah, it was just
Stormtrooper.
straight styrofoam, okay? And then
Yeah, he said he couldn't see.
back in the day, they weren't really keen on safety. So they had this nice 2x4 running across the bottom to keep the frame. What do you expect was going to happen? So we got your back, okay?
Funniest thing was the reactions of Sid and Ric Flair and the Bulldog when he fell through.
Imagine what that character could have been. Like, I don't
don't
think
know.
it
I
would have
mean,
grew to be
was that-
fantastic,
was-
but I would have liked to see
Was
like
that really? I mean, think about it. No offense to him. Was he going to be a top guy? As you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't think the gimmick was really good to begin with. So the fact that he's remembered all these years later, at least you remember for something, you know.
Okay, this is going to get his mind thinking. Okay, can you, I can say that because that's in the question, can you name 10 wrestlers that start with the letter C in under 10 seconds?
All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Cody, Cora Jade, Christian Cage, Carmelo Hayes, Carmella, Charlotte Flair. That's it, 10 seconds?
I think so.
How many did I get?
Oh, I was counting on my hands for the second.
I got to go now.
No,
I don't know
you
if it was
did.
10.
You did. You did. That I like questions like that. You know what I mean? It gets, you know what I mean?
Well, you people will know at home how many did I get.
I think you got like
probably
7.
about 7.
Yeah, I think you got 7.
So real
yeah.
quick, 3 other names. Let's see.
Chris Candido.
Yeah, Chris Candido,
Yep.
Hall of Famer there. Chris
Yep.
Candido, Chris Canyon,
Chris
and
Kanyon.
also I said Christian Cage. I said
Chris
Carmelo.
Jericho.
Chris Jericho. That's going with just the C's, you know.
You could just keep hitting the Chris's right down the line.
Carlito.
Carito.
Yeah.
Chelsea Green.
Chelsea Green. There you go.
Yep. You got to mention her because you never know if she's going to come running in here and stealing our trophy. You know.
Sticking to the ECW theme, what's
Oh.
your thoughts on Paul Heyman?
I think Paul Heyman is an absolute genius when it comes to professional wrestling. He came out with a product. He was able to monopolize the product. He was able to talk himself into a building where he wasn't even supposed to be in the building as a minor photographer, being a photographer. Everything that guy does, it's marketable. He knows when to deliver, how to deliver. And come on, he made Brock Lesnar relevant in WWE. And people will be like, oh, that's messed up to say. Brock was not a professional wrestler. He was a UFC guy. Yeah, he had the backgrounds and all that stuff. If you look at him at OVW, he was not ready to be called up. You know what I mean? I think without him, he would never, even with Roman, you know what I mean? Not that Roman needed a mouthpiece, but just that he had to humble himself and took his level from here to here, just show they added more.
I think as an on-air character, manager-wise, everyone's always going to say Bobby Heenan number 1. Heyman's right up there. If 1A, 1B. I mean, think about him back in the day with the Samoan SWAT team and the cell phone, the Dangerous Alliance. Now, the Dangerous Alliance was a fantastic group, and look who was in that group. Paulie was a great manager for that. and then what he did with ECW. Although I have heard, and I've talked about this in the past, I have heard some people playing devil's advocate here. Some people say, how hard was it to book ECW? Put this guy and this guy in a match, and it happens. But mind-wise, creatively, I mean, the guy was a genius. He just made the Hall of Fame, WWE Hall of Fame, well-deserved.
Great speech.
Yeah, I mean,
and you've never heard a speech like that
They
ever.
say one of the best motivating speakers, which you hear him. Not the best businessman, I guess, as they say. Maybe he shouldn't have been in that position though to begin with. You know, he should have had someone else doing the business side while he did the creativity side. And
I think that was it. I think he probably needed more people with him in order to drive the ideas, and I think he knew what was going to work, and he didn't want to give in.
if you look at all the people that credit him, Punk, look at the people he's been involved with just on air in the last, decade or so. Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, Roman Reigns. I mean, those three guys, three of the top names in the last decade. So Paul Heyman is probably second to none in this business. I mean, I know you hear Jake the Snake's name a lot for creativity. I mean, Paul Heyman, if we did the four corners of creative minds in the business, he's probably got to be top one or two, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Did you like the group DOA?
Disciples of Apocalypse?
Yeah.
You know what? That was at the time where they split off the nation, and then they had the Bariquas, the DOA. I didn't mind them. I didn't hate them. I didn't like them either. They were just there. I thought that when Crush only stayed for a short while because he left after the screw job.
Yep.
And then you had Primetime Brian Lee there. I thought as a three-man group they were okay. I really thought their best time was when the Harris brothers were a tag team alone, and they did that feud with LOD, and they were heels, and they had Ellering with them. I think that was their best time. I mean, it is what it is. It was just a group. They had also the Truth Commission.
Yep.
They had so many factions at the time. It was just overkill with the factions, but that was what was in.
I think they were the ones of those four groups that you mentioned that really stood out.
They stuck around outside of the nation. The nation was separate.
Yeah,
Nation
but the nation
DX,
was kind of like...
Yeah, but of all the subgroups, the DOA did stick around the longest. And like I said, they did the tag team thing with the Harris brothers, so it was... Yeah. It wasn't horrible, but...
No, but they all looked the part, too. That was a good thing. You know what I mean?
Does go with when you have swastika tattoos and...
Yeah, you know.
All right. Is Bayley better as a face or a heel? I don't know. I mean, she's fantastic as both.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick one or the other. I think she's fantastic as both. When she first started, that character she played was super. She turned heel. She was probably one of the better heels as far as women go. I mean, I'm not going to say better as either. I think either way, she is great. So that's a short answer from me.
Yeah, she is an A-lister in professional wrestling. There are four females that they call as the four horsewomen.
Four horsewomen, yeah.
Right? And all those four, she is absolutely the best of the four.
Yeah.
From in-ring skills to people skills to mic skills to putting over people to everything. She is the complete package deal.
I mean, you talk about that match. I mean, she's part of probably what most would consider the best women's match of all time with Bayley and Sasha.
Yeah.
And you know, Bayley. I mean, Bayley's the one that made that. I know. Striker's son. That was the first time they had ever watched Bayley, and he loved her from that day on. Like, there's no answer to that. The answer is she's fantastic as both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not you.
That was me? Yeah, you. Try to get to a couple more questions, guys. We really thank you guys for sending them in. Should the WWE Hall of Fame have a wing that's just for tag teams or face painting wrestlers?
No, I don't know. I mean, first off, there's not a real actual building. But if they were to build a building, I mean, if they were to set up a building, you could throw tag teams in their own wing. I mean, to have a whole subgroup of just face painted wrestlers, no, because you just throw those in. But you could do the tag team, I went to the Basketball Hall of Fame recently, and they didn't have it it's so different now. It's more interactive.
Yeah.
You really don't even have to go to look. There's not like the plaques and that. I've never been to the Baseball Hall of Fame. WWF or WWE Hall of Fame, I think, could be an awesome thing with
Yeah.
so much
Yeah, I'm
memorabilia.
surprised they don't have something
Yeah.
out. I will say the face paint part, no. Tag team part, I personally would like, because I'm tired of people getting put into the Hall of Fame as a tag team and then now becoming a two-time tag team.
I don't mind
Yeah, we're going to put you in like
Yeah.
Mike Rotundo. That guy should have been in by himself, honored by himself for everything he did. And I've always said if they're good enough to be an agent and a booker on your shows, they should have already been in your Hall of Fame. So having an own individual tag team wing, I think would be a pretty cool idea, because at least you know that's how they're being honored. It's not, oh yeah, we're gonna put you in just because we can get him in with this guy again.
I don't mind guys going in, like say Booker T goes in as Booker T and then goes in later as one half of Harlem Heat. I don't mind it because it was two different acts in his career.
Yeah, I can see that.
longevity-wise, and then like we've talked about it, where I said Stevie Ray probably wouldn't get in otherwise by himself, because he didn't really have a Hall of Fame singles career like Booker T did. So it's wrestling. So for them to, guys 5-time champions. So it's like, hey, if the guy's a 2-time Hall of Famer, it adds to them. I think it's a cool thing. Let's see if we can bang out one more.
Yeah, Sarge, that wasn't me this time.
Yeah, it's a good catch.
Oh man,
It was a good catch.
look at Peter over there. He is.
It was a good catch,
He's
guys.
upset right now.
All right.
Oh man,
Who did the Undertaker first pin in WWE? Now I know this answer. Do you know the answer?
you tell me.
A human being, a despicable human being, Rock and
Oh.
Roll Buck Zumoff, right?
Yes. So that
he's
was
not. He's a horrible human being. He is where he belongs. He's a person that's in jail. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah.
But he was a talent in the AWA.
Now, people are probably figuring, well, how is that possible? You got to remember, before they put these guys on pay-per-views and live TVs, they always have them at house shows trying out. So that's where it was. The most recognizable, or the one that everybody would think of, would be Coco Beware. But that's not the official one.
Right, he didn't.
Well, that's
He
who
did pin him though. So maybe Coco.
So that's the first one, but who you said was
okay,
the original.
that was his
because,
first- yeah.
Yeah, because they did 2 live events back
Right,
then.
right. And
So-
Rock and Roll Buck Zumoff, if you want to know more about him, go Google it. But
Yeah.
not
Don't
a
waste your
great
time.
human being.
Don't
and
waste your time.
Undertaker did put him in the body bag. Maybe
For a
that should have
reason.
been. Maybe that should have been real life.
On that note,
Yeah, we don't want to.
we thank you guys so much for sending in these questions. Please make sure you keep sending them in, because without you, we can't answer anything, and we'll be here for 30 minutes just looking handsome like we do. So thank you guys very much. Tune into all our shows. Make sure you check out our official wrestling museum for all your wrestling needs. Take a Smile Up Challenge. Spread more smiles than hate in the world. Yes, you could do it, because we believe in you. And you know what they say. You write in the questions.
We got the answers.
See you next week, guys.